And that takes us to the present day, where we are patiently waiting for the next album to be teased. I've seen a few people hope that this will be a summer release, but I'd be willing to wait for a mid to late fall release.
It was neither of those. The pilots are back. I mean, I'm sure by the time this video comes out, they probably would have already been back, right? Doesn't matter. Anyways, they got a new album called Clancy. With this being the fourth and final album of the Dima storyline, I thought I'd do some kind of review for this album in this video. I say kind of because I don't really want to get too deep into it, but I'd still like to share my thoughts and feelings on each song of the album. But first, let's catch up with the band and see what's happened in the past year or so. So, where did we leave off? Yes, the Vessel 10th anniversary livestream. Well, a couple months after that, the band made an unexpected return to playing shows after saying that it would be a while before they'd do that again. They would perform at a few different music festivals in South America and Mexico throughout the last 2 weeks of March in place of the band Blink-182, who wasn't going to be able to perform during that time. Throughout these shows, fans noticed that the black paint that Tyler Joseph wears on his neck and hands had started to get on his white shirt. At first it just seemed like some of the paint just happened to stain his shirt, but in every show, the black paint would spread more and more. Many even speculated that this could be a hint that Blurryface was taking control of Tyler and would make some kind of return in the upcoming era. 21 Pilots eventually finished their short run of festival shows and even released a handful of documentary-style videos of this little mini-tour on their YouTube, like what they usually do with their tours. Not much really happened for the next handful of months. As mentioned in my last 21 Pilots video, in April they released the audio for the MTV Unplugged session that they had done a few months prior, both physically and digitally. The different versions of their well-known songs that are on here are actually pretty great. I definitely recommend you listen to these if you haven't already. Afterwards, the band would kind of lay low for the next few months or so. They definitely weren't radio silent like they were before the Trench era, but they definitely weren't really active during this time. Well, mainly Tyler, since Josh started being more active on his socials around this time. Mostly personal stuff though, so nothing too major. He and his wife Debbie Ryan even managed to make a small cameo in Fast X. Good job, Josh. You surpassed Tyler in terms of how many times you've been on the big screen. It wasn't until August of 2023 where we finally got some kind of update regarding the next album. Paul Meany, a member of the group Mute Math and the one who helped produce Trench, posted on Instagram a picture of him working with Tyler and Josh on their next project, basically confirming that he would be returning as a producer after being somewhat absent during Scaled and Icy, only producing a couple of songs on that album. A couple months later in October, the band added those canvas things on Spotify to songs on Blurryface that didn't have them already. For those who don't know, instead of simply showing the album art when a song is playing, it would show a looping video of whatever the artist decides to add. The following week, they did the same thing for Vessel, which led many to believe that this was going to be some kind of countdown for something. And I'm sure Tyler and Josh were having a pretty good laugh knowing that this was not the case whatsoever. However, something did happen in November, and we got to hear a bit about it a few days early thanks to none other than Mr. Moist Critical himself. Alright, roll the clip.
Animating for 21 Pilots. Wait, what? That's huge. What are you animating for them? Is it a music video? Is it some kind of promo video? Either way, that's incredible. Congratulations, Cass. I just finished my work animating for 21 Pilots. Never thought I'd get my dream gig while I'm still in college. Yeah, how did you get that? Well, maybe the college gets a lot of work, like commission work like that. That's still crazy. Huge.
Sure enough, a few days later, 21 Pilots posted a 10-hour lo-fi mix of their songs featuring Ned on their YouTube channel. There were a handful of neat Easter eggs hidden in the scenery. On the shelf you could see the Ned Funko Pop, the Ned clay figure that was used in the Christmas Saves the Year video, and a picture Tyler posted on his socials when Ned was first introduced. Ned can even be seen with a cup of chlorine, similar to what Tyler had in the Chlorine music video. And if you look closely in Ned's eye when he's awake, you can see the pool from that same video. which suggests that we're inside his little hut that he likes to hide in. These Easter eggs referenced many things that we've already seen before, but there were also some things that hinted towards what was coming in the near future. The most important Easter egg is this letter from one of the Neds that were on Voltsoy, which is the island where the music video for The Outside took place. The letter reads, "Saw Clancy and Torchbearer, just like Keon said." Torchbearer referring to Josh and Clancy referring to Tyler. But a handful of words were either misspelled or missing a letter. Fans eventually came to the conclusion that the missing letters from this note spelt out the phrase, "a date," which then led to the theorists doing what they do best and losing 10 hours of sleep by analyzing this entire video. People found many possible dates, but I'm going to only mention the ones that ended up coming true. The first one being May 17th, which came from when the computer monitor would turn on at the 5-hour and 17-minute mark. A month or so later, people were able to find a message that was hidden in Morse code on an ad for this 10-hour video. The code was books. Thus, the bookshelf was the next place people looked for clues. The second plausible date that was found was February 29th. Meanwhile, Tyler made his second Instagram post of the year with a photo of him and his family. All 5 members wished us a happy holiday. Yes, 5. This was Tyler basically confirming that yes, he is in fact having a 3rd kid. Anyways, Tyler's wife Jenna posted some more pictures from the holidays, and fans noticed that in one picture, Tyler has papers next to him that look to be related to some kind of upcoming tour. People soon realized that this meant new music could be on the horizon, and it was only a matter of time before 21 Pilots would announce their next album to go along with this upcoming tour. Soon, it was 2024, and January and the first half of February passed by in a flash. The people who predicted that something would happen during that period of time were already wearing their clown makeup. But February 15th was the day that the February 29ers, as I like to call them, realized that they wouldn't be the ones wearing the makeup after all. Here's kind of a small representation of what happened that day.
Oh boy, it sure is nice minding my own business on February 15th, 2024.
Hi, Switch Champ.
Red tape had appeared on all of the band's albums up to Vessel. Also, something interesting to note is that the tape is covering the eyes of whatever it is on the album cover. With the exception of Blurry Face, where the tape is covering the circle that represents Keon's, who, if you remember, was the one who got killed after betraying the group of bishops. Come to think of it, all of these can be considered empty vessels, since Trash the Dragon was confirmed to be dead in the Outside music video, Clifford the Vulture is apparently dead, and both Tyler and Josh's grandpas have passed away. And then, of course, one of the bishops is now dead. Speaking of the bishops, that same day, fans received physical mail from them demanding information on how they found the hidden website and Clancy's possible whereabouts. There were only 1,500 of these sent out at random. I still haven't gotten mine, but surely it's just running a little late. Right? Anyways, the evidence that they included was a brand new Clancy letter, the first one we've gotten in almost 2 years. From this letter, we knew that Clancy was preparing for some kind of war to defeat the bishops once and for all. An important thing to note here is that despite us getting this letter on the 15th, the date on the letter states the 9th. So the bishops had already been holding on to this for a short while. The other thing is that each line has a letter that's double printed. There's actually a pattern here. Second letter, 9th letter. 2, 2, 9. 2, 29. February 29th. Huh. Things sure are looking bright for the February 29ers. The document describing the evidence had its own letters that would be double printed, which spelt out "still alive." A little nod to Skilled and Icy, where that era focused on the fact that Clancy was quote-unquote dead. The last important thing included was the same map that's on the hidden website, but with a couple of changes. One is that the circle representing Keon's is now lighter than the others, and the other is that there's a new location called Paladin Strait. Fun fact actually, all of this was happening exactly 1,000 days after Scaled and Icy's release. Throughout the following week, many people spotted signs that appeared to show the return of the band's beloved logo that was absent during the previous era. This whole signs showing up with the next era's logo shtick was actually something we've seen a couple times before, back in both the Scaled and Icy and Trench eras. That Thursday, 21 Pilots posted a video called I Am Clancy. In it, Tyler basically flexed on all the theorists who made 20-minute lore videos by recapping it in only 4 minutes. Sure, he didn't go over every single little detail about the lore, but it's still pretty funny to think about. The end of the video gave us a small glimpse of what will be coming the following week, with Tyler confirming that he is in fact Clancy. So yeah, congrats February 29ers, you correctly predicted that Leap Day would be the day of the first new single. This video was mainly meant to ensure everyone was on the same page when it came to the lore, since this next album was said to be more straightforward than the ones before, which made sense considering, again, this would be the final album of the story. Also, there was a new playlist on the band's YouTube channel titled The Story, which featured all of the music videos that are canon to the lore. The day before the arrival of the new single, we received not one, but 2 new Clancy letters. The first one had Clancy describing a camp-like setting and wrote that his plan for rebellion would commence the following morning. In the second one, Clancy described that he was able to somehow find a way inside of Dima, ready to put his plan into action. Again, notice how despite us getting these all at once, they were written a few days apart from each other. And that's all we'd get before the release of the new single. But finally, after over a year of waiting, we were getting ready to witness the start of a brand new era. The era of... The new record was revealed to be called Clancy, with a release date of May 17th. You want to know something else that shares the same date as this album? That's right, John Wick Chapter 3, baby. Oh yeah, Blurryface 2, of course. This confirmed many theories about how Clancy would release on the same date as Blurryface, exactly 9 years apart from each other. I didn't mention this in the previous video, but the 9 was a common reoccurrence throughout the Dima story. There are 9 circles on the Blurryface cover. The hidden websites were found on the 9th month of the hiatus and the 9th year of the band. And there are 9 bishops. Well, okay, there were 9 bishops. Another thing to note is the color of this era. If you've noticed, throughout these 4 albums, we've been going through the color wheel. Blurryface was red, Trench was yellow, and Scaled and Icy was blue. With Clancy, we've gone full circle and returned to red, with some yellow, which can represent the clash between the bishops and the banditos. Also, this album cover, man, the moment it was revealed, or rather, when it was leaked, honestly, screw the both of you. People were already falling in love with it. Isn't that right, Tyler?
No.
You're right. Sorry for going off script. It was a mixed bag for a lot of people, with many on the negative side of things. But people were eventually able to get used to it. Personally, while I don't think it's their best, I still really like how this cover incorporates elements from previous eras. You got the 2 people standing in the middle, like in Vessel. You got the desaturation of Tyler and Josh, Scaled and Icy. Tyler has the tape that was prevalent in Trench, and in the Flames, you can see Nightmare Fuel Blurryface. Overcompensate was the first single to come out of this new record, which is an interesting name considering how, in an interview back in 2021, Tyler mentioned how, with each new record, he's trying to compensate for the last. Trench was compensating for the popularity of Blurryface, showing that the band was capable of doing something different from what had made them mainstream. Scaled and Icy was compensating for Trench, in the sense that it was more colorful, bright, and approachable compared to how Trench was presented.
With Entrench, I look at the record directly following Blurry Face after that rise. What I did was I tried to lump in a little bit more of dealing with that and compensating for that rise than I should have. I was trying to say, this is not a Blurry Face record. This is different. This is something I'm capable of doing something else. And I was compensating for the experience that I had, in a sense. I got that out of my system. And now I think that on this record, Scaled and Icy, I feel like I'm not trying to compensate for that anymore, but I am compensating for Trench because it's a constant course correction. So that's why this record feels a little brighter, feels a little cleaner.
And I'm sure with Clancy, it's compensating for how scaled back Scaled and Icy was, and bringing back the level of production that was seen on Trench. As always, a music video came along with this first single. Saying I was excited would be an understatement. Ask my friends and I'm sure they could tell you that excited wasn't even close to describing how I was feeling. Here's a picture of me before the premiere. Anyways, the beginning of this video reintroduces us to the world of Trench, ultimately ending up in Dima where we see Tyler and Josh, who I'm gonna call Clancy and the Torchbearer respectively from now on when it comes to lore music videos, performing to a group of citizens, tying back to what Clancy wrote about how they were able to infiltrate Dima and start the rebellion. After a while, we see Clancy teaching the citizens about the true nature of Dima and its religion Vialism. At the end, the citizens are wearing red or yellow tape, basically joining forces with Clancy. Clancy then falls to the floor, with the citizens gathering around him to see what the heck was going on. After they pull his mask off, it's revealed that Clancy hadn't even set foot in Dima, and was using the powers he gained in the Outside music video to seize the body of someone who had already committed Vialism. I like to think that part of Clancy's plan to defeat the bishops is to beat them at their own game, which is using the remains of those who have passed on in order to spread certain teachings. However, unlike the bishops, Clancy's teachings are for good instead of evil. Throughout the next few weeks, we'd get some things like behind the scenes of the music video, the track listing for the album, which, by the way, Tyler, be honest, we know how much you love Fortnite. You got the song Lavish from Lavish Lair, didn't you? And we got confirmation from Tyler that we'd be getting a music video for every song in this album. And one would have 2 versions, so 14 videos! Dang, they really are overcompensating this era. As we were waiting for the next single, Amazon Music accidentally revealed that it would be the song called Next Semester. I like how Tyler basically got sick of things getting leaked and just decided to confirm the leak himself by reposting people's theories about it. If you can't beat him, join him, right? A day before the song was to come out, some people decided to one-up Amazon's pro gamer move by leaking the entire song. I'm sure many of you already know how I feel about things like spoilers and leaks. To be honest, I feel that what happened with Amazon wasn't too much of a big deal since we already knew Next Semester was a song on the album, and none of the actual content got leaked. What happened with the full leak of the song, however, definitely didn't sit well with me and many other fans. Thankfully, the majority of the community were good sports who were willing to wait for the official release and made sure that the leak didn't spread. The song and its music video would eventually officially release, and along with them came the announcement of a new tour. I quickly ran to sign up for the pre-sale, and as much as I would have liked for them to come to San Diego, since that's the closest in my area, I'll take what I can get and make the almost 2-hour drive to LA. This tour was actually teased a few days prior to the announcement, as red tape appeared on the band's old Ticketmaster banner, covering their eyes just like what we had seen before. After a few days of listening to Next Semester nonstop, pre-sale had begun, and I can confirm that I was able to score myself a floor ticket. I was beyond hyped for this since this was going to be my first time not just going to a 21 Pilots concert, but to a concert in general. My excitement grew even more thanks to Tyler sharing a picture on social media, showing a page from his notebook with every single song the band has made. Okay, well, most of them. He forgot Not Today, Goner, Christmas Saves the Year. Although he did remember Goner afterwards in a follow-up tweet. But still, fake fan, fake fan. Wait a minute. Are those regional at best songs? Okay, Tyler, as I'm recording this, the setlist hasn't been revealed yet, so if you perform some of the more rare songs off of regional at best, I'll retract my statement of you being a fake fan. And also won't come to your house just to slap you in the face. Throughout the next week or so, the band hadn't been as active as they were in February and March, but they soon reposted a tweet from Tyler that gave us an update on what was going on. He said that while they still had a lot of work to do, progress was going pretty well and that his main goal was to have all of the remaining music videos ready to be simultaneously uploaded on the release date of the album. Which is like, wow, 12 videos before May 17th? You guys really are busy. Plus, Josh would be directing one of these videos, which was pretty cool to hear. But definitely the biggest update was that Tommy Joseph had just been welcomed to the Joseph family. So congrats Tyler and Jenna on your guys' third kid. A few weeks later, Tyler took to his Twitter to announce that Thursday, April the 25th would be the release date for the next single, which was the song called Backslide. And this would be the music video that would be directed by none other than Joshua William Dunn himself. It seemed like nothing could ruin this wonderful day. But then, it happened. People noticed that the countdown for the album on Spotify had gone from 24 days to 31 days, and that the album would now be releasing on May 24th. And some people even received emails from places like Amazon or Walmart telling them that their order had been delayed to May 24th. Despite all this, some other retailers and even the official 21 Pilots website and online store still had May 17th as the album's release date. So many people thought that the May 24th release date was just some kind of glitch. Well, the following morning, when I saw the colored ring on the band's Instagram icon, I knew this wouldn't be the case. Tyler basically talked a bit about how making a video for every song on Clancy was very important to him, but it would definitely take a bit more time than the team had hoped to have everything done in time for the May 17th release date, which is why they needed an extra week to polish things up. Some fans also believe that another possible factor for the delay was that so many artists were releasing music on May 17th. Billie Eilish, anyone? And even if I don't think that's a reason as to why they delayed the album, it's still pretty funny to think about. I'm sure some people will say, it's just a week, so what? But really, it's the date itself that stings about this delay. Again, May 17th was the date that Blurryface originally released, so having Clancy end the story on the same date 9 years later would have been so perfect. Alas, May 24th was Clancy's new release date and we just kinda had to accept it. Still though, props to the band for willing to sacrifice part of their concept in order to not rush things, since I'm sure the content itself matters more than the date of when that content is released. But hey, at least Mr. Dunn gave us a pretty good video in return, so that was pretty cool. Soon after, the band would post a series of pictures on Instagram that would show a keyword to send to a phone number or through DMs, along with a certain place such as NYC or Berlin. Turns out this was for a series of smaller shows that 21 Pilots would be playing throughout the month. I watched a couple of these through live streams, and they even performed a couple of older songs that they haven't played in a really long time. If you couldn't tell, one of the greatest feelings in the world for me is whenever they acknowledge their older works.
Welcome to Dark Souls, bitch!
They even included some other cool things too, like the violation code from the hidden websites on Tyler's shirt, and a leak of the Craving, which would soon be the fourth single off of Clancy. Jeez, Tyler, what's with you leaking your own stuff this era? 2018 Tyler would not be happy if he found out about this. Anyways, we were finally getting closer to the release of the album, and to celebrate, the band announced that multiple indie record stores would be hosting listening parties for the album. A week before release day. No! Now it had a higher possibility of getting leaked online! Don't get me wrong, an event like this is still pretty cool, and it's awesome to see events like this being held where multiple fans of something get together to celebrate a brand new release. It's just, me personally, I want my first experience with the album to be soon after I get my hands on it, you know? The band had a couple more events planned that they do on release day. Pop-up shops in the UK and Australia, an exhibit in Columbus, Ohio, and they even had a live stream at midnight where they premiered all of the remaining music videos. Thank goodness they archived that live stream, because as much as I would have loved to tune in, I was holding off until I had the physical album and got my first listen of the audio from there. Anyways, after a week of avoiding leaks, many fans finally either received their long-awaited packages or were able to hit play on their streaming service. I, on the other hand, had to wait an extra week because screw UPS. Check this video out to see me open mine, by the way. The music videos as well were all pretty great in their own way, and props to Tyler, Josh, and the entire team for working non-stop to get these out. However, for the sake of this video, I'm only going to talk about the videos related to the lore, which are for Navigating and Paladin Strait. Let's start with Navigating. We pick up right where Overcompensate left off with what seems to be Clancy and the Torchbearer arriving on the shores of Trench. They're greeted by 3 banditos who lead them to where the rest of the banditos are camping out. During their journey through the hills and forest, we'd occasionally get a couple glimpses of someone traveling towards the direction Clancy and the others are going, while also holding the mask Clancy wore in the Overcompensate music video. Many times throughout their journey, the Torchbearer would motivate Clancy to keep going and give him a helping hand every now and then, despite Clancy getting pretty tired of traveling such a far distance. The group would eventually reach an open field that's being inhabited by the rest of the banditos, with many bonfires spread throughout. Clancy and the Torchbearer look across the field to see a bandito who's revealed to be the Torchbearer? Clancy then looks to his side to see that the Torchbearer he had traveled with is no longer there. Turns out, the Torchbearer we'd been seeing throughout the entirety of Skilled and Icy, the Overcompensate music video, and the first half of this video wasn't real, and Clancy had been doing things on his own up to this point. So now, Clancy and the real Torchbearer have reunited after being apart for a very long time. Specifically since the Levitate music video, timeline-wise. Then, as everyone is preparing for the final battle, the Torchbearer gives Clancy his mask, which is actually a nod to the Guns for Hands music video from way back in the Vessel era, where Tyler's the one who hands Josh a ski mask. Another neat little nod is the stem that plays as the camera zooms out. It's from the song My Blood, whose music video, while not canon to the lore, has somewhat of a connection to this one. I'm not gonna spoil that video for those who haven't seen it yet, as I think it's an amazing one that's worth checking out. But I'ma just say, if you've seen that video, you'll definitely see the correlations to this one. Alright, now onto the video for Paladin Strait. It seems we don't have it yet as I'm recording this. But wait, I thought all the videos were coming out with the album.
Paladin Strait does not have a music video yet. We have shot it. We are editing it. We're almost done with it. We're holding on to it. So we have a kind of like a placeholder that's going to live for a little bit. It's not long. But that video, I wanted the audio to live because when we wrote it and created it, it was with the audio in mind, the audio experience. And so we pushed that music video back a little bit. So that video for Paladin is not coming out tonight.
Ah, so you're holding out on us, I see. Alright, I'll wait. In the meantime, I'll go over some important stuff that happened after the release of the album. Funnily enough, around the time my package came, 21 Pilots released yet another version of Clancy that was being offered for only 2 days. This being a digital version that came with a couple live tracks from their recent series of small shows. Along with this came a load of digital images, 120 to be exact, that featured handwritten lyrics, never before seen promotional photos, and even lyrics for a scrapped song. All for the low price of $5. And I didn't get it. Mainly because I wasn't going to buy the album a third time, and I had already made a digital copy for myself by copying the CD from my computer to my phone. As for the images that were included, again, they were all digital, so I already knew that they'd get posted on the internet for all of us to see. Time passed by, and still no sign of the Paladin Strait music video. So much for that early June release date, huh? A few theories involving the number 25 had stirred, thanks to a clue found in the fan exhibit that was mentioned earlier, which later resurfaced in the digital remains version of Clancy, where one image is apparently the same as what was seen at the exhibit. The clue is a collage of letters with a phrase in the middle which reads, Clancy Ultimus Capitulus 25, which is Latin for Clancy Ultimate Chapter 25. People wondered what the 25 could mean. 25 days after Clancy's release, the 25th day of a certain month, the year 2025? Guess we'll see as time passes on. Man, after hearing about the memorabilia that was featured at the exhibit, I'm starting to feel nostalgic all of a sudden, that I might just revisit Blurryface's Twitter just to see that post that he made almost 3 years ago, and there's no tweet in here! On June 17th, the Blurryface Twitter account was active again after yet another long hiatus. This time, he deleted the posts he made in 2021 that revealed the name of Skilled and Icy, back before we knew what it was going to be called. Everyone in the fandom knows that once the Blurryface Twitter account makes any kind of activity, things are bound to happen shortly after. The next day, along with wishing Josh a happy birthday, fans discovered that the images from the digital album from earlier seemed to connect to each other and thus formed one large puzzle, which fans would soon spend hours on trying to put all 120 images in the correct places. 2 days later, Blurryface was active on Twitter yet again. He posted this cryptic video, the audio being the ending of Paladin Strait in reverse, with some Morse code that says pages. And he even made a reply to a fan's tweet about a livestream they held where they spent hours solving the puzzle, saying, I saw. Blurry had also changed his banner to a piece of this large puzzle, which hinted at where fans needed to look for in order to solve it. Eventually, a new hidden website was discovered, with a new violation code being 103_37, referring to the 2 pages that were initially pieced together. The site required a password to access something. Here's the picture that fans used in order to find the password. After doing so, we were able to access the teaser for the Paladin Strait music video. The full video itself would premiere the following day on June 21st. And wow, what a video it was, dude. Here's another pic of me before the premiere. Definitely worth all of the waiting and trouble fans went through for it. The video starts with Clancy sitting on top of a cliff playing his ukulele, just like how he was in the placeholder for this video. We then cut to what looks to be him sharpening the net antlers, which kinda look familiar if you ask me. The torchbearer, along with 3 other banditos, give Clancy a large wooden box that's soon to be revealed to have his outfit that we've seen him wear throughout this era so far, along with the map of Trench that we've seen before. Something to note about this wooden box is that this isn't the first time we've seen it, as fans noticed that Josh can be seen constructing the same box, but smaller, in the music video for the Craving single version. Anyways, back to Paladin. After gearing up and preparing for the battle to come, the group uses the map to make their way towards Dima. During their journey, the group notices some vultures flying above them, which are soon revealed to be seized by the bishops. This actually confirms a theory fans had about the vultures being some kind of asset for the bishops, in which this video shows that they're possessed by them and used as a form of surveillance, thus explaining Clifford's yellow eyes on the Trench album cover, and those eyes eventually being covered by red tape. Now that the bishops are aware of the Banditos' arrival, they decide to put all of their powers together and create an army of their own, this army being the bodies of those who have fully committed to vialism. The group of Banditos finally arrive at Dima, and we get these awesome shots of both sides facing each other. Something I really like that I want to point out is that notice how the Dima citizens are holding neon lights, while the Banditos carry torches. This is actually one of the many motifs that we've seen throughout the story where the bishops will utilize light that's artificial or man-made, such as light bulbs and such, while the Banditos will utilize natural light, such as torches or bonfires. This can represent how the bishops are lying to their citizens and push the idea that the way of living in Dima is the only way to go about it. Meanwhile, the Banditos exist as a way to try and help citizens escape from this way of living and show them that there's a better way. But, as shown in the Nico and the Niners video, not everyone wants their help. The fight between the Banditos and the zombie citizens ensues, and while everyone is rushing at each other, Clancy enters Dima and goes on his own to find Nico and confront him directly. After climbing one of the 9 towers, he's able to reach the room where the bishops are located. Clancy then uses the power of the Ned antlers to knock each bishop down, not only defeating them, but the army of citizens they've been controlling as well. One bishop seems to be missing, however. It ends up being Nico, who quickly swoops into the room and grabs Clancy by the neck, who ends up dropping his weapons. Just like what we heard at the end of the audio for Paladin Strait, Nico greets Clancy by name.
Hello, Clancy.
Nico grabbing Clancy is actually a callback to the jumpsuit music video, where he does the same thing, smearing black paint on Clancy's neck as he does so. This is called smearing, which is a method the bishops use to make any escapees they'd catch forget anything they may have seen outside of Dima. The video ends with Nico trying this one last time to try and regain control of Clancy. But it doesn't work, and Clancy opens his eyes, fully prepared to fight Nico head-on. At first, many people were having conflicting thoughts, with some thinking that this was the end, since seeing how this story is meant to represent the journey of one's mental health, it would make sense that neither side wins, as there's no way to truly defeat Nico/Blurryface, except that we don't let him control us. Others, myself included, still believed that there was still a bit more story to tell, as there were still some loose ends that needed explaining, such as what happened to the Torchbearer, and what could Clancy Ultimus Capitulus 25 be hinting towards. Plus, for a story that we've been following for almost a decade now, an ending like this would feel a bit too abrupt. Tyler soon gave us an answer with a tweet he'd post that read, "See you at the show," leading many people to believe the end will be at the live shows. Tyler soon debunked this, however, after replying to a fan who stated that they hoped the live shows wouldn't be the end of the story. According to Tyler, the live shows are meant to represent a flashback that reminds us why we fight before we do. So yeah, now we know the end will come sometime after the Clancy tour. Hey, if this tour is meant to be a flashback, 21 Pilots Era's tour, maybe? That would be cool in my opinion. Guess we'll see. So, now that we've gone over what's happened up to the release of the album, and a bit after that, this is the part where I'd like to switch gears and talk about the album itself. Thought I'd do this on camera, so let me set that up real quick. Oh, wait, no! Alright. How do I fix this? Oh, I got it! Alright, there we go. Now we can do this. Oh, sorry about that. I was able to fix the issue, kind of, so hopefully you can see me okay. Here's how I'm going to do things. There are 13 tracks here on Clancy, and my plan is to go through them one by one and just share how I feel about each song. So, yeah, let's do this. Starting off this album, we've got Overcompensate. Now, I will admit, the hype for this song definitely has died down a bit for me since first hearing it. But I'll be honest, I think this is a really good opener. Probably one of their best openers that they've had. The beginning of this song builds up excitement and then ends with that "Welcome back to Trench" part. Oh my gosh. I still remember hearing that for the first time and I got so giddy over it. Yeah, this definitely can't be said about the edit version of this song, which just cuts the whole intro part and just shortens it, and it kills that hype. This version of the song is definitely superior. And also this song just incorporated a lot of neat fan service as well. Again, you got the "Welcome back to Trench" part, again saying, welcome back from Scaled and Icy, which was full of propaganda and stuff, we're no longer in control of the bishops. And Clancy's mentioned for the first time ever in a song, right? And Josh got a name drop as well. Which, if you know, they did that in Blurry Face, they did that in Trench, but they skipped that in Scaled and Icy. So to see them bring that back on the first song of the record as well, that was really neat to see as well. So yeah, overall, this song really feels like the intro to a larger project, and yeah, it's a great song. So next song is Next Semester. Now, this definitely took a turn from where Overcompensate was going, and I've heard a lot of people say that they don't really connect to each other, but I still think this is a really good and dynamic song that focuses more on punk rock and it's more of a grunge feel. And yeah, I really like how for the majority of the song it's super exciting. It's not just rock. There are parts of it where it feels kind of like, I guess, an anthem-like. And it's not until the last minute or so where it slows down and feels more personal. So it makes the song feel fresh every time. You can go to a specific point in the song and it'll be different every time, So even though I don't necessarily think it flows too well from Overcompensate, I still think it's a good song on its own. Alright, next song is Backslide. This one was kind of iffy the first time I heard it. I didn't know whether I thought it was just okay or if I really liked it. But I think after listening to it multiple times, I think I could say that it is a pretty good song. I do really enjoy it. Even if you're not a fan of the instrumentals, I do think the message is really great and fits with the lore, right? Although, ever since first hearing it, I've always liked to call this song Stressed Out 2.0, both because of the music video and because of what the song talks about. Because while Stressed Out was about the fear of growing up, Backslide talked about the fear of going back to old habits. So I kind of like the correlation between the two. And also for further comparison, if you look at the Stressed Out music video, they're riding tricycles. And if you look at the Backslide music video, he's on an actual bike this time. Alright, next song. Midwest Indigo. I gotta say, I think this one is probably my most favorite out of the album. I've just been super addicted to this one, honestly. Just by the name alone, even before hearing it, I had a feeling I was really gonna enjoy that one. I don't know why, it just rolls off the tongue for me well, Midwest Indigo. This is a really fun song in my opinion. I think Tyler mentioned how it was meant to give off the feel of going on your way to school or something like that, and like it feels that way in my opinion. Like I consider it more of like a road trip song. But honestly, it's like a really fun song. I like the icy feel to it. I know it kind of goes in contrast with the fiery aesthetic of this album, but I still think I really like it. It also does a good job of feeling familiar too. This honestly feels like a Vessel song with all of the synths. So that was another neat touch I really liked. And I also really liked how this is one of the songs that kind of shows the fun side of the band. Again, obviously I said this is a fun sounding song, so of course they're gonna add a bit of a skit in there with the "What's Your ETA?" 2 minutes, and that was fun to see in the music video. And I think it was also a fun way to incorporate the audience too, because they always like to, whenever they make a song, they usually have concerts in mind when they're creating a song. So it was great to sing this one live. Alright, next song is Routines in the Night. And this song has a pretty simple structure, but I feel like the production on it like makes up for it, in my opinion. It gives off that like kind of hip hop rap vibe that I'm never usually that much of a fan of, but I feel like it's been done pretty well. And I also really like the little background noises, the little like demon noises behind it. It really adds the eerie vibe. And this song really feels like you're roaming through like a hall in the middle of the night, like in darkness, you know, and especially with the music video with Tyler roaming around in red neon lights, I really gives off that eerie aesthetic, I will say. Next song is called Vignette. I really like this song actually. From the synths to the crisp drums, by the way, like really awesome first time I heard it. And that synth solo, like near the end of the song, literally awesome. I remember just like being already into this song. I was already vibing with it, and then that just comes on and I'm like, oh, that was the cherry on top for me with that song. And also, I kind of like in retrospect, I kind of like the mention of zombies as they'd later come back, as I'm sure I've mentioned before, the zombie Dima citizens, right? So that was a neat little bit of foreshadowing, if that was the case. Alright, next we have the Craving. I'm gonna talk about Jenna's version first, since that's the one that is like on the album, so let's go with that. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I think this is probably my least favorite one in the package. Not to say that I dislike it or that it's a bad song, I just think there's not that much going on compared to everything else. I do think it's a nice song. I really like the intention behind it, you know. It's the obligatory Tyler's wife song, you know, Jenna, that's his wife. But if you want a song like to give you the feels or something like that, like this is definitely the song that you can go to. It's definitely still a really nice song in my opinion. Just my least favorite of the bunch, that's all. Now for the single version, it definitely adds more structure, adds a lot more instrumentals. But I feel that it kind of washes down the lyrics at the same time, right? Like it doesn't really allow you to put all of your attention to the heartfelt lyrics that it offers, right? That's kind of why I feel that both versions are good in their own way. Where Jenna's version is, if you want to hear something nice, something heartfelt, and maybe even a bit personal, you go to the Jenna's version, since there's not as much instrumentals going on there. You're able to put all of your focus on the lyrics, and if you just want something to listen to, put something in the background maybe, you go to a single version. Also, is it just me, or does single version kind of sound like it would sound like something off of Bluey? I don't know. Alright, Lavish is the next song. I I know a lot of people had mixed reactions when they first heard this. And when I first heard about it, I didn't really know what to expect. And then after hearing it, I was like, oh, I understand now. Not to say that it was bad when I first heard it, but really felt different from any other 21 Pilots song I've heard beforehand. But definitely after hearing it multiple times, I think it's gotten better every time I've heard it. Like, I absolutely love this song. This song really feels like you're walking through a city in lavish attire, just like the music video. And if Midwest Indigo didn't show the fun side of the band, this song definitely will. There's, from the lyrics to the kind of funky sound, and even the music video itself, just the boys like walking around and messing around. But I also like how this song can connect to the lore, because it talks about being a hot shot, being like you're all that, smelling like worth. And in reality, they're just two guys making music. There's nothing super special about them. They're not some huge movie stars or whatever. And same could be said in the music video too. They're walking around in suits, acting like they're all that. But in reality, they're just two guys who eat pizza and hate bananas. Meanwhile, in the lore, Clancy could feel like he has everything figured out. He knows what he's doing. He's the leader of the bunch, but at the same time, he's just a guy. He's just an ordinary citizen of Dima. What can he do? So, I kind of like that. Again, that correlation from the song to the lore. Next is Navigating. Probably my second favorite song off of this album. And I really like brings back the whole rock kind of grunge feel to it. I also really like the catchy verse of I'm navigating. That's ever since I first heard that, it's super catchy. Although I will say the song is definitely oddly placed in the album, especially coming after Lavish. It's like a complete contrast. You got the silliness of Lavish, and then the more serious tone of Navigating. But I digress. It's still a really good song. I really like the exciting feel of the song. It's yet another one of these. Kind of like Next Semester, which, by the way, if you look at the music video for Next Semester, you can hear the end of Navigating there, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I really like the guitar, the bass, the drums in this one. Really good. The synths as well. So yeah, all coming together like it feels like something out of a chase scene. Snapback, the 10th song on this album. Another one where I was kind of iffy at first, but I eventually came around to it. It's really good actually. I really like the opening. Like, it feels at first it feels kind of aquatic. Is that the right word? Aquatic. And then after that, it just feels more like spacey. Like not extraterrestrial spacey, but like more like maybe like you're floating around or something like that. It gives off that feeling. Also, something funny is that when I first saw the track list, I immediately connected Backslide and Snapback, which ultimately they were and did end up being connected after listening to the album. Where Backslide talks about the fear of going back to old habits, Snapback talks about actually going back to those habits, losing all of your progress all at once. And I really like how this is demonstrated in the music video for Snapback, where Tyler's getting like all of his hair cut off, which is also another thing that we've seen in previous eras of him shaving his hair down. But here it's kind of depicted as like, again, I don't really I've never grown my hair out, so I'm not a big fan of that. But I'm sure it takes a long time to grow your hair out, and just getting it cut off like all at once, is again a good representation of taking a long time to build up your progress, and then you can easily lose it in an instance. Which again is another good connection to the lore, where Clancy could do as much as he can to escape Dima. Like he can escape it and like be out for a long time, but eventually he gets caught by a bishop and then gets taken back to the city, and then he loses all of his progress. Also, back to the song itself, Josh does a really good job on the drums for this one. I will say, like, they sound crisp. I really like the pattern he does with this one, especially in one of the verses. I forgot which verse it was, but it sounds really good. Next, we have Oldies Station. I'm gonna be honest. I think this is probably one of the few songs here that have almost brought me to tears, because it is just such a wholesome song, really nice song. I really like the encouraging tone it has of just straight up saying push on through. You're gonna get through things. Really, really wholesome, really nice to hear. And especially after knowing the context of this song, when Tyler said that it was about him kind of letting us know how he's doing, it kind of just gave me a sense of like, oh, this is my journey. You can do the same. Yeah, I know. I encourage you to push on through. Again, more of like motivational. So, oh, yeah. And especially after hearing this song live, like, I kind of had the wrong idea getting into this song, because I remember Tyler mentioned that he could not wait to play this song live, and I kind of just got the sense that like, oh, it's going to be super exciting, it's going to be more, up-tempo, something like Next Semester or Navigating, And when I heard the song, I was like, oh, okay, this is a bit more slow pace, but I am still enjoying it. It's a nice song. And then, but ultimately, again, after hearing that context, it's definitely, and after hearing it live, I'm like, oh, this feels more, it's a more unionizing song. And yeah, I definitely see why Tyler loved playing it live, which is why I think it really sucks to hear and see what happened during tour not too long ago. I'm not going to get too into it, but if you know. Which is why I want to say, Tyler, if you somehow come across this, I just want you to know, dude, like, this song is great. I love it. Like, I don't care if it's the boring one on the record. I definitely think it's like the most wholesome, like the most heartfelt one, in my opinion. Like, I could see the emotion you put into it, like, and how excited you were to play this live. How you were super eager to show this one to us, and I'm sure it's impacted a lot of people, including myself. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All right? Yeah, really nice song overall. Next song is At the Risk of Feeling Dumb. This one surprised me, honestly. I didn't know what to expect going into that title. I know it does sound a bit silly, but I think actually listening to the song and understanding the lyrics definitely, puts this title into perspective. I like how this song is basically one of those call to action type things. It's basically Tyler telling us to check in on our loved ones or close friends and see if they're doing all right. Maybe they're doing just fine and we were worried about nothing and we end up feeling dumb. Emphasizing why, it's better to check in than not, right? So now when I talk about the instrumental part of this song, it's not bad, Josh's drums are great as always, but for the most part, the synths and the background noises, they're neat. There isn't much to talk about, But yeah, overall, this song did surprise me, in a good way. Even if the instrumentals didn't blow me away or anything, I still found the message like intriguing. All right, the final song, Paladin Strait. So, where do I begin with this one? This is 21 Pilots' supposedly longest song, but we'll get to that in a bit. The synths are really nice in this one, and I really like how it kind of starts off in like this shore beach-like feeling with Tyler's ukulele, and then I actually really like how the song gives time to build up over time, right? So it feels like we're preparing for battle, and then at one point it's like, oh, we're about to have this battle, and then it gets to a point where we're in the battle, we're in it to, yeah. And it definitely feels that way, even especially during the music video too, emphasizes this more. Definitely different from most 21 Pilots album closers, where they usually involve like the piano and are usually like kind of, I think in A minor, I think is the term. Sorry, I'm not really good with music terms, so don't say anything in the comments, please. This song does a really good job of conveying that feeling of like being in a large body of water with roaring waves and just trying to swim your way through it and trying to make it to the other side. And I think, yeah, so it does a good job at that, even if that's not what's depicted in the music video. And all right, I guess it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Yeah, I don't mind the birds chirping. I know it kind of feels like a cheap way to extend the runtime of this song, but honestly, like, well, I do wish it could have been a bit shorter, like maybe half a minute shorter. It definitely feels like the calm after the storm. We've had this big build up throughout the song, and then it just all kind of stops, and we're just left with silence with birds chirping in the background. I kind of like to view it that way. But yeah, I guess you could tell a lot of people had issues with it since it ended up getting cut in the music video. But oh well. And also I really like that little last bit there, kind of basically giving us details of the story. The banditos are fighting, Clancy's climbing the tower, and again, we all got this before the music video, so it was kind of nice to get some actual clear details of what was going on. Oh my gosh, but I was freaking out when Nico / Blurryface interrupted the song to say the phrase that he was introduced with way back in 2015. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, with the few, the proud, and the emotional, and oh my gosh, that was such a nostalgic thing to hear, and really awesome callback too. So yeah, those were all the songs on Clancy. Right now, I'm gonna mention a couple kind of issues I had with this album. Not that they hindered my experience with it or anything. It's just I feel these are things that I could have been done a bit better. I guess the first thing I want to mention is the track order of this album. I know I've seen a lot of people say that it gives them tonal whiplash, and after actually hearing it, I kind of see that, especially with Overcompensate and Next Semester, those two don't really flow together. And even Lavish and Navigating, and maybe Midwest Indigo and Routines in the Night. But I've also seen a lot of other people make their own arrangement of the album, and they've had a much better experience with that. But yeah. And I guess my other issue would be the lack of lore in the songs themselves. Now, this isn't me saying that the songs needed to have lore in order to be good or better, but I feel that it definitely was something I was expecting going into it, especially with the clear mentions of Clancy and Overcompensate, and the mentioning of the Banditos and Nico in Paladin Strait. And you could say that all of the songs in Clancy are meant to represent the story itself, such as Backslide and Snapback representing Clancy's journey and how he always ends up going back to the same place. He escapes and then he gets captured by Bishop. However, the marketing for this album and old interviews from like 2022 or so definitely led us to believe that this was going to be a more lore-heavy album compared to the other ones, especially since this was meant to be the last one of the story. And I'm sure Tyler and Josh are already like thinking of more things, especially since they confirmed that the story isn't over just yet. But I think it's hard to not be a little bit disappointed when it came to the lore. But yeah, despite those two issues, I still had a really good time with this album. I was super excited to hear it, and I think they delivered on this one, They promised, a more trench level production compared to their last album, and I think they achieved that well. And honestly, even though I did say that I was a bit disappointed that there wasn't much lore this album, I am glad, they are willing to stretch it out a bit and didn't just choose to end it as soon as the album came out, Gives us more time to speculate and all that stuff. And even, it wouldn't make sense, ending the story as the era was like just starting out, So definitely looking forward to more of what's to come. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say. I'll bring it over to you, voiceover me.
And yeah, that was Clancy by 21 Pilots. Overall, I really enjoyed this album and the year-long journey it took to get to this point. Crazy to think that even after everything that's happened to get to this point, the story still isn't over quite just yet. I'm looking forward to seeing how this decade-long story will eventually conclude. So definitely expect me to go over that once we get there. But until then, I thank you for sticking through to the end and listening to me yap about this awesome band from Columbus, Ohio. See you guys in the next one.